The tween years, that magical, mysterious, and often maddening phase between childhood and adolescence. 1 minute, they're your sweet little sidekick, and the next, they're a whirlwind of dramatic eye rolls, those sighs, and the slammed doors. Welcome to the tweens. Welcome to teenager attitude. But how do we as parents navigate this turbulent time without losing our sanity? Hi, and welcome to Learning Life, and thank you for joining me. Do you have a tween? I have tweens, twin tweens, and it's fun to say sometimes, twin tweens. But, it is this time. Can I survive it? That's a question that I ask. But you know what? I can, and I can do this by understanding their brain and their heart. I can look at what I can do at these moments so that I don't lose my cool. And then, we can look at tips. Stay to the end to find some tips of what we can do for certain behaviors, because we can do this. Parents, we can survive these tween years. We can do more than survive. We can thrive in them. Have you checked out any of my other videos? Because I love to bring them. I love to help people, especially as I've been going through stuff and learning, because we learn together. And so I thank you so much for your likes and your subscribes and being part of this learning life. Get something out of this? Why not share it with a friend? Maybe they're going through it too. These tween years. I wasn't quite ready for it. We sort of switched really quite quickly. And yes, it's been a little bit of a bumpy ride. But you know what? We can do this. And I want to do it maintaining my sanity and without losing my cool. Understanding the tween brain. This to me is really something that I tell myself every day. Besides that, it's important to remember it's not personal, though it feels like it. What I tell myself is that tween brains, they're under construction, major renovation going on. They're still growing and developing. Okay? And we're seeing the beginnings of hormones. We're seeing that they're getting this understanding of their self and body image, all of that is shifting. We've got social things going on. How do we deal with all of this? But this whole prefrontal cortex, it's not ready yet. It is still growing. And this is the part that's responsible for rational thinking and impulse control. So if it's not fully developed yet, neither are those things. And, this is something that I have seen working with children over the years, and understanding and remembering, brain development, it explains those sudden mood swings. It explains the impulsive reactions. It explains a lot of that. So I have to tell myself, prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. It's going to take some time. Our tweens are also trying to figure out who they are separate from us. My girls have to know who they are separate from me. And yes, that involves boundary pushing. That involves testing limits. That involves, coming back and speaking they're the mother. That's always an interesting one. But they're trying to find their identity. That can be challenging. And then, if we're around school, even co-ops, whatever it is, this is where we're getting that shift in that peer sort of stuff going on, And so that can lead to behaviors that do seem out of character. But if we are trying to understand that their brain is growing and in that, that they're developing, this can really help us when we're in the midst of this. And how can we stay calm? Staying calm in the face of tween chaos feels like a daily thing to try and stay calm. I don't know about you. It is for me. But this I know for sure. Let's pick our battles wisely. Not every eye roll deserves a lecture. the little things? Can I let the little things slide and focus on their big stuff? I feel I have to do that because if I only focused on all the little things all the time, I would not be calm. We would be at DEFCON 3. And let's maybe take a deep breath or 10, whatever it is. If we are feeling our patience is wearing thin, let's pause. Like take a moment to calm, before reacting. Because when we are reactionary, a mountain becomes, even bigger. It's like no longer this nice little molehill. It becomes that mountain. Maybe we need to walk away, but take that breath. And this is one of the challenges for me that I find, especially with one of my girls, to like really listen, because sometimes like she's really poor at expressing herself. And I'm trying to understand, and I get this, you're not listening, you don't understand. I'm like, I actually really don't, but I am trying. And they want us to listen, and they want us to acknowledge their feelings, even if we don't agree. I am really trying to use I statements more and encouraging my girls to use that, especially to express feelings instead of like dobbing on their sister. It's like, I need some help because, and going through, but not I need help because so-and-so has those I messages are important. Another great thing that tweens really need are those clear boundaries and then to stick to them. Consistency is key. I know that from teaching. I know that in my head. Sometimes that's hard when we are just tired or just being worn thin or buttons pushed, that we might just give in. But teens do need to know what is expected of them and that we are consistent. To help us stay calm, can we maybe find the humor in that? Sometimes, not all the time, sometimes, there is humor in it. If we can like find a lighthearted moment, if appropriate, this can actually really just help us maybe even diffuse situations. Can we turn something into a little bit of fun before it becomes a big issue? I know that connection is important, and I'm trying to do that with my girls regularly. And it doesn't have to be a big thing. Both of them just love like an individual few minutes of just even a cuddle. It doesn't even have to be a quick chat, but having that connection is important. And let's remember, to help us stay calm, we can't pour from an empty cup. We really can't. So we have to recharge. And just like we have to remember their brains are still developing, another key thing to remember is this is temporary. It's a phase. It is challenging, but it will pass. They will grow and they will mature. Their brains will develop and things will get better. Tips for specific tween behaviors. So let's have a look at some behaviors like the eye rolls and sighs. These are specific because they're happening often. I have one who does it, and the problem is she looks just like me when she rolls her eyes. But I find that it's actually best to ignore that if possible. Let's not give in to the attention that's what they're looking for. They're trying to get our reaction. They want that attention. So, I tend to switch it and we just talk. The door slamming stuff. We haven't had that too much, thankfully. But this is one to address calmly. I understand you're upset. I get it. But slamming doors is not acceptable. Actually talking through it first, doing it. Let's not slam a door back at them, or let's not just jump to removing the door. You slammed a door. You can't have a door. Door is gone. To me, that's a massive consequence for a long line of inappropriate behaviors. What about that talk back? That back talk. The correcting, is that becoming a constant? And this is where we really do need to set those boundaries. Whether it's a keyword that you use or things like, I will not tolerate disrespectful language. I've actually been able to bring it down to tone or Actually now and then it just takes this. I'm not happy. So that's saying, we don't want it. We need those clear boundaries. To me, like that back talk, it's not going to help, because if they're doing it with us, they will do it with others. This is the time the mood swings and buttons being pushed. They swing, our buttons are pushed. But this is really a time for like empathy and understanding. Again, something that I can struggle with. It seems like you're having a tough time. How can I help? Oh, it seems like you perhaps need a moment to yourself. Can I do this? When we have like these button pushing behaviors, can we step back so that our buttons aren't being pushed? I'm happy to tell my girls, you're really pushing my buttons right now. Or, I'm finding that this behavior is manipulative and I don't like it. Offering, that feedback to them, but also like that no. When we can do this, when we can help them in these behaviors and that they're growing, we will get there. And there is a silver lining. There really is a silver lining to all of this. Despite the challenges, these tween years are really going to be a great time of growth and connection. I really think that it can be that. We can stay calm, we can communicate effectively, and we can offer that support. And in that, guess what? We are going to navigate this phase successfully. We are going to strengthen our relationship with our children. And we are going to raise up some strong, powerful kids. I know it. We're going to do it. How are you going with your tween years? Do you have any sayings or things that help you, in the moments? Hey, why not shoot a comment down below so that we can all learn from each other, because that would be awesome. But we can do this. We will thrive in these teen years. Thank you so much for watching today and being part of this Learning Life. If you want to help to get these videos out, you can do that by becoming a champion. So you can check that out at patreon.com or at my website, LearningThis.Life.